Have you ever given everything to someone? Your time, your love, your care, and still felt unappreciated? Maybe even hurt when they didn't give back the same way? That quiet heartbreak is where chicory begins. This isn't just a flower, it's a mirror, a remedy for those of us who love deeply but sometimes hold on too tightly. Today we're diving into one of the most misunderstood Bach Flower Remedies, chicory, and uncovering what it really means to love without conditions. Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm a Bach Flower practitioner, herbalist, and student of esoteric sciences. I also created Bloom into Balance, a course where I help people heal emotional patterns and reconnect with their inner harmony using the gentle power of Bach Flower Remedies. And today I want to take you deep into the emotional world of a flower that often gets misunderstood. Chicory. Chicory is about love, but love with strings attached. It's about care that turns into control and affection that can sometimes come with guilt or manipulation. And chances are, if you are watching this, you may know someone like that, or you may even recognize yourself. So, the essence of chicory. Chicory is the remedy for people who love deeply, sometimes too deeply. It's for the part of us that gives a lot to others, but secretly hopes for something in return. We see it in the mother who can't let her child grow up without feeling abandoned, or in the partner who keeps score, or maybe in the friend who gives advice but gets upset if it's not followed. At its core, chicory is about possessive love, the kind that fears losing connection, and so it clings, controls, and manipulates to keep it. Often this behavior comes from a deep wound of rejection or emotional neglect. The chicory person is afraid of not being loved, and so they create invisible threats, expectations, guilt, emotional dependency. But don't be too quick to judge this type. Chicory people are usually deeply caring, generous, and incredibly intuitive when it comes to others' needs. They're the ones cooking for everyone, checking in, giving gifts. The challenge is learning to give freely without secretly demanding love in return. How chicory shows up in life. So let's take an example. Imagine someone who says, I do everything for my family. I cook, I clean, I make sure everyone's okay, but no one really appreciates me. That is chicory energy. It gives, but it also keeps emotional receipts. The problem is, love becomes a transaction, and when the person doesn't get the affection they expect, they may pout, manipulate, or retreat in silent hurt. Chicory shows up in many subtle ways. Guilt-tripping your partner for not spending enough time with you. Expecting your child to stay close because you gave them everything. Feeling emotionally devastated when friends don't include you, or over-involving yourself in others' problems because you care. It's that inner voice that says, I just want to be loved, so I give, but I also expect, and if I don't get what I hoped for, I feel crushed. The chicory archetype. The chicory archetype is a giver, a nurturer, the one who loves deeply and invests emotionally in others. On the surface, this personality type is warm, affectionate, and attentive, but underneath there's often a subtle longing to feel needed, important, and deeply loved in return. In its unbalanced state, chicory can become possessive and emotionally demanding or manipulative, not out of malice, but out of fear, the fear of abandonment, fear of being unloved, fear that giving won't be enough to secure connection. You might recognize the chicory archetype in the parent who sacrifices everything for their child, but struggles to let them grow independent. The partner who offers constant support but becomes wounded when love isn't expressed back in the right way. Or the friend who gives and gives but quietly keeps score. At its core, the chicory type struggles with conditional love, giving with an unspoken expectation of return. But chicory's gift, once transformed, is pure unconditional love. The kind that expects nothing, that supports without strings, and that allows others the freedom to grow. That balanced shakery type becomes a safe harbor, generous, wise, and deeply nourishing without the need to control or cling. You'll also recognize the shakery archetype in the classic over-involved mother-in-law. She means well, she wants to help, she brings soup when no one asks, reorganizes your kitchen out of love, and gives frequent advice, sometimes with a touch of guilt if you don't follow it. It's not that she's unkind, quite the opposite, but her love often comes with invisible strings attached. If you don't say thank you the right way, if you pull away to make your own decisions, you might feel her disappointment or even emotional withdrawal. At her worst, she may become meddling, emotionally manipulative, or guilt-inducing, not because she's bad, but because her love is still tangled up with the need for validation and control. But here's the beautiful part. Once transformed with the support of the shakery remedy, this energy softens. She no longer needs others to prove their love. She can give freely, trust more deeply, and allow her children, friends, and loved ones to live their own lives, supported but not suffocated. Shakery types can have this in very mild forms, but it can also be quite intense for themselves and their environment. So it's very important, if you are this person, to recognize this and do something about it as you are on the way of pushing people away from you. Some signs of a negative shakery state are an egotistical, domineering, and demanding attitude that gets on others' nerves. Vigilantly watching over the desires and developments within a circle of friends and relatives. Constant, unrelenting remarks, suggestions and corrections. Overprotective and patronizing behavior. They do little without considering what benefits it brings to them. Or they can be trying to achieve much through indirect means. They offer love, but only under a certain condition. Manipulate or act as a diplomat and sometimes use tricks to maintain influence. They may resort to emotional blackmail and try to keep faded emotional connections intact. They find it hard to forgive or forget and have suffered from an inner fear of losing their possessions, friends, or relationships. They quickly feel wronged, overlooked, left behind, or hurt, often lamenting, "No one loves me," exaggerating their misery to gain sympathy or influence. They may also become very angry if things don't go their way or if power is exerted over them, shedding bitter tears over the ingratitude of others. They also often talk about what others owe them. Shakery and narcissism. Shakery is a deeply loving and emotionally invested type, but in its extreme form, it can begin to resemble narcissism. The need to be needed, to be close, to feel indispensable, if left unbalanced, can become controlling, possessive, and emotionally manipulative. And while shakery stems from love and fear from abandonment, its distorted expression can look eerily similar to the patterns we often associate with narcissism. Now, you might be wondering, isn't this just narcissism? Not quite. The shakery type and the narcissistic personality can look similar on the surface. Both can be emotionally demanding, centered on their own needs, or struggle to respect boundaries. But at their core, they are fundamentally different. The narcissist often lacks empathy altogether. Their need for control, admiration, and attention is rooted in a deep disconnect from the emotional needs of others. It's cold, strategic, and often self-serving. The shakery type, on the other hand, feels too much. Their love can be smothering, yes, but it's sincere. They are emotionally over-attached, not emotionally detached. Their control comes from fear of losing love, not from a desire to dominate or exploit. Where narcissism is armored and grandiose, shakery is vulnerable and overly invested. And that's why shakery responds so well to Bach Flower Remedies, because at the heart of it is a desire to love and be loved. When balanced, the shakery type becomes one of the most generous, warm-hearted, and nurturing personalities. someone who can truly love without strings. So the chicory could be the overbearing but loving mother, the clingy friend, the person who gives too much and feels hurt when it's not returned. The narcissist, however, is the charmer who turns cold when not admired, the boss who takes credit but blames others, the parent who sees their child as an extension of themselves. Final insight here. Shakery is emotional overgrowth and narcissism is emotional armor. One clings, the other pushes. Shakery can become healthy love. Narcissism often needs deeper transformation. Recognizing the shakery pattern in yourself can be a difficult and courageous thing to do. It's important to remember that this isn't about self-judgment. In fact, it's essential to approach this recognition with compassion and acceptance, both for yourself and others. It's easy to fall into the mindset of criticism when we notice these patterns, but that only keeps us stuck. Instead, recognizing them is the very first step towards healing and personal growth. By being aware of these tendencies, we can make positive changes in our own behavior, which not only benefits ourselves, but also the relationships around us. But here's the thing. It is often really hard to spot these patterns in ourselves. They can be very subtle and ingrained, and we may not always have the clarity to see them. That's why self-reflection, honesty, and openness are just so important. It's a process that takes time and it takes courage to face these truths. So if you do recognize these traits within yourself, remember, there is no judgment here. There's just an opportunity to grow, learn, and improve for your own well-being and for the benefit of those you care about. The spiritual significance. We're talking about an emotional vacuum. This feeling often stems from a lifetime of never truly being loved, perhaps due to a loveless childhood. It's like a black hole, an endless void that can never really be filled, but tries to find solace through empathy, compassion, recognition, and constant self-validation. And in an attempt to meet this deep and uncontrollable need, the person may use their strong will and manipulative abilities. Someone who harbors an inner sense of emptiness cannot offer love to others, and as a result, they carry an underlying insecurity and fear of loss in all its forms. When such a person, despite this emotional poverty, does manage to activate emotions within themselves, it often comes across as if they are an actor putting on a performance for an audience. This is the characteristic of the needy mother, a chicory archetype, which is the counterpart of the needy child, represented by Heather in Bach Flower Remedies. People with a need for chicory energy hold within them the potential for immense inner strength and the ability to love deeply and genuinely. This potential can be awakened if they are willing to turn inward and make a shift in their perspective. They must come to realize that this bottomless vessel they have been trying to fill can only be filled with love from a source that resides within themselves. It's love that continuously flows from their own soul. Once this person aligns their actions with the birth of their own soul, selflessly dictating their energies to the well-being of others, they will notice that the source of divine service begins to flow, and they feel an immense strength and certainty grow within them. At that moment, they will no longer feel the need to force sympathy or love from others, as they are already being flooded with it from within. Nor will they fear that they might lose this love, because they instinctively know that their inner source is inexhaustible. The healing path. So how does chicory help? The chicory remedy invites the soul to love without attachment, to care without controlling. It softens the grip and opens the heart to true generosity, giving without expecting something in return. It helps us say, I love you and I set you free. It helps the mother let go, the partner stop clinging, and the friend release the need to be needed. When someone takes chicory, you often see less emotional manipulation or guilt, more freedom in relationships, a shift from needing love to being love, a deeper sense of inner security and self-worth, and sometimes tears, because, well, when chicory begins to work, old grief comes to the surface. Grief around not feeling loved, not being chosen, not being seen. That's a part of the healing. A personal reflection. I've worked with many people, and let me be honest, many of us have a little chicory in us. That wounded part that wants to feel essential in someone's life, that tries to earn love by being helpful, useful, indispensable. But love isn't earned. It's not a reward for good behavior. It's a presence, a way of being. Chicory teaches us that. When I first worked with this remedy, it was humbling. I realized how often my giving came with strings I didn't want to admit. I was giving from fear, not from freedom. Chicory helped me reconnect to the pure joy of giving without waiting for something in return. If any of this spoke to you, if you recognized yourself or someone you love, chicory might be worth exploring. And if you need any help with that, I'd be delighted to help you in a one-on-one in my physical practice or via an online consultation. I also created the course Bloom into Balance, where I help people improve their emotions and live with the help of Bach Flower Remedies. And, of course, shift your inner world. Check the link in the description if any of that speaks to you. You can also download my free beginner's guide to get started gently, no prior knowledge needed. And if this video helped you, feel free to give it a like and share it with anyone who needs it. And let me know in the comments, what does unconditional love mean to you? Take care of your heart, and I'll see you in the next one.